personally on what I even like in this.
3 of the same teams we saw last year.
Yep. I didn't even think about that, but yep.
So, Cowboys are not good. Are they good? Dak's bad. Is he not bad? I've been talking about the pendulum on Dak swinging every which way every single week. Apparently, he's the worst quarterback in the league now. So, Quentin, as a Cowboys fan, what do you think the Cowboys should do from here moving forward?
I mean, do they have a choice? Like, Dak's contract is pretty restrictive, I imagine. It's still, the ink's still pretty wet on it. I
He's
don't think you
2
can
years
do
into a
whole
4-year
lot.
extension. Yeah, I mean,
I just don't think you can cut him without losing a ton of cap space. I don't think you can trade him without losing a ton of cap space.
This is what I love about
his contract, right?
This is what I love about Cowboys fans is that they think Dak is the ones that don't like Dak think he's the worst person ever, and then they turn around and say, "Let's trade him to Indianapolis for the 4th pick, and then go get C.J. Stroud or Will Levis." And I'm like, if he's bad, why would they give us the 4th pick?
Yeah, it doesn't add up.
But these are the same people that also think we could get like a late first for Zeke, a 28-year-old Zeke who also has a big cap hit. So,
dude,
there's no winning with these people.
I was looking at Zeke's contract earlier today. That is.
They can basically get out of it. Like they can get out of it this offseason, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, an $11 million 10 dead cap hit.
I don't know. I thought this offseason when I don't want to get rid of Zeke.
They could. This is the first offseason where they can get rid of him and not add to his cap hit. If they got rid of him last year, his cap hit would have been bigger than keeping him. This is the first year where it could feasibly make sense to get rid of him. It's still going to cost them $11 million in cap next year, but they'll save, I think it's $5 million in cap space next year in the process.
I mean, 800 yards, 14 touchdowns. Let Pollard walk. Go draft another. I mean, there's going to be 17 Tony Pollards in this draft. I mean, Tony Pollard's not that special. He's quick. He's nifty.
He's about to be a Chicago Bear. That's what he's about to be.
Oh, they got the money. That would be nice.
Yeah, that's the reason why he's going to be a Chicago Bear, because the Bears just need to spend money somewhere, and he's probably one of the best free agents out there.
I like that a lot. Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing Pollard go to the Bears. I mean, I don't want to keep him. He's going to be too expensive. We already have too much money invested in the position. I mean, we go grab somebody in the 2nd or 3rd round and get pretty close to equal production. I mean, you can get 900 yards out of somebody who's averaging 17 to 20 carries a game with a decent offensive line basically anywhere. Like, let's not act like he's like anything special. People act like they're the same Cowboys fans that want to trade Deke also want to give Tony Pollard a monster contract. And I'm like, yeah, let's do that again. Like,
he's only worth a monster contract to a team who needs to spend that money.
And
like, the only reason I like him for the Bears is because the Bears need to spend like $140 million.
He's also a big season. He's a big play threat.
Yeah, I'd rather pay a guy who has proven that he's at least worth the money in the moment, even if it won't be in 2 years, than a guy who might have never been worth the money, you know?
Yeah. So it's gonna be T. Higgins, Tony Pollard, and then you're gonna trade for Devonta Adams.
Yep. Easy as that.
Yeah, and then maybe
you gotta trade for T too, so I don't know how you're gonna work that.
Oh, I thought are they gonna franchise tag him?
No, he still has 1 year left. He wants an extension.
He's 1 year left?
Yep.
I feel like he's been in the league forever, and he wasn't even a 1st round pick. He's going to his 4th year.
Yeah, he was drafted the same year as Burrow.
So he's only 1 year ahead of Ja'Marr Chase.
Yep.
That's crazy. It's so freaking good.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Bears have a rough free agency ahead of them, honestly. Like, they got to figure out who's worth paying with all this
wide receivers are available.
Jacoby Myers is the #1 target.
You not bad, but
Yeah, I like Jacoby Myers, but he's gonna get paid.
oh man, I bet
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'd rather pay Tony Pollard money that makes sense
Looking
than pay
back on
Jacoby
it,
Myers money that doesn't make sense.
look, did the Bears have money this past season that they needed, or were they kind of against the 8 ball this past season?
They were up against the cap. Like, they had the most dead cap of any team in the NFL this
Because
year.
you look back on the Amari Cooper trade,
And the least
and
money
it's like-
on the field, actually.
but you look back at the Amari Cooper trade, and Cowboys were going to cut him. Browns gave a 7th round pick for him, and you look at teams like the Bears, and it's like, why wouldn't you just be like, we'll give you our 7th round pick?
You have no idea how hot a topic that is in Bears Twitter. You're like, I'm assuming you have no idea. That's a big sticking point for Bears fans.
Yeah, I mean, it was a free,
he missed the
a
8
free
ball
number
on
one
that
right,
one.
a free wide number one wide receiver,
Yep.
who was still like his production hadn't gone down. It was merely like Cowboys couldn't afford to keep him. They had already committed to Gallup and CD's like an emerging star, and it's like they were either going to cut him unless somebody gave something for him. And then like everybody was like, "Oh, I'll take my chances." And then he goes and has a monster season for Cleveland, and like Bears aren't the only team. But it was crazy. That was like, and that was also before like the whole Christian Kirk signing, and then like completely reset the market. Then all of a sudden, the Amari Cooper deal is like, "Oh, you got Amari Cooper pretty cheap after all that."
Yeah,
Like,
that was what like that Christian Kirk signing is what made everyone go, "Man, we missed that."
yeah, it's crazy, but I'm excited to see what the Bears do. As you heard first on this podcast, Will Levis is the greatest quarterback we've ever seen come out of college. So if you want Will Levis, you know who you got to call. Call the poll. Call the poll man. Ryan,
I will
walks on
say,
polls.
so after our episode last week, I watched 4 or 5 games of Will Levis since then, and
Incredible.
I see what scouts see in him. I mean, I'm not sold that he's the top quarterback in this class. I actually have him 3rd, but like I see why he's getting some of the hype he is. Like when you're watching some of his games from 2022, you see him processing reads quickly and just getting the ball out under pressure 40 yards downfield. Like I can understand now why he's getting the hype he is. Not buying it, but I can see it.
So we're the number one Will Levis podcast. So I'm just going to agree with you. And it's definitely not a joke on my end. I wholeheartedly think you should give up at least 5 first-round picks for him, and the only way you can get him is if you go to 1. So
yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely.
So that's just straight facts. And if CJ Stroud starts falling, like as a Cowboys fan, like I wouldn't mind taking I wouldn't mind taking a flyer on a guy like CJ Stroud. Like he's obviously not good. He can't throw the ball. He can't process reads. He's not athletic whatsoever. When he's in a clean pocket, he just completely just falls apart. Like he's not good. Like just let him fall to the mid-20s and just trade up and grab him and let him be Dak's backup for 2 years. Like because he's obviously not good.
Yeah, I mean, you think 2 years is long enough?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it might be one of those, like, have to wait until Dak's money doesn't kill us and then we move on. I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind taking a flyer on CJ Stroud at 27. That's Cowboys logic.
For the Cowboys.
That's Cowboys logic. I also heard people in the Cowboys Twitter saying, like, they saw one mock draft of like Jackson Smith and Jigba going like 2nd round, and they're like, "Oh, we'll just take Jackson Smith and Jigba in the first." Or no, they said we'll take Bijan Robinson in the 1st, and then trade up early 2nd round and take Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'm like, yeah, let's just do that because that's gonna happen.
Man, I've been seeing so many takes on JSN lately. Like, I saw one today that said,
I think he's getting highly disrespected on his speed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if he's going to run faster than a 4.5, but speed isn't his game. Like, he's such a. I saw a tweet today that listed
He's probably the
all
best route runner since Calvin Ridley coming out.
Yeah, I saw a tweet today that listed all the receivers who ran over a 4.5 flat that went in the first round the last like decade. It's only like 7 of them, but and they were very different than what JSN is as far as size, like in the way they play. They were all bigger bodied receivers, and I don't think that it's really the same to look at it though that way because there are so few guys who can win with their route running the way JSN does coming out of college. Like he is rare. You do not find guys like that often.
Also, his injury this past year kind of, I mean, I don't think it hurt him that much. I think he'll still go in the first round, but he was going to play opposite of Marvin Harrison, like one-on-one on the outside, to where the year before you had Garrett Wilson, you had Chris Olave, and you had him. So he was running more to the slot. And this year he was going to be the true one, and Marvin Harrison Jr. was going to be the 2. And then they had, I can't remember the other guy's name running the 3, but then he got hurt. Marvin Harrison became the 1. Now Marvin Harrison's the greatest thing. I love Marvin Harrison. I think we got 2 years left for him though. But yeah. I think that hurt him a little bit because a lot of his tape, you have 2 first-round picks who both performed well in the NFL, and it's like, yeah, obviously you're gonna get open, but yeah, I like him a lot. I thought he might have been the best receiver on that team last year.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I'd love if the Bears find a way to get him.
But yeah, Cowboys are we're gonna CJ Stroud's gonna fall into our lap, and then Jackson Smith and Jigba's gonna fall into our lap second round, and it's gonna be all good, no problems.
Yeah.
And Bears are going to get 5 first-round picks for Will Levis because he's the greatest thing ever.
Greatest thing since Mayo.
Gerard Mayo was very good. Was he the only person that Bill Belichick ever traded into the top 10 for?
Maybe, probably.
Because they traded up to like 7 for Gerard Mayo, didn't they?
I don't remember that. Did they?
I think he went 7.
He's his defensive coordinator now, isn't he?
No, he's like a special assistant that apparently gets to interview people for the offensive coordinator role.
Yeah, I think that.
I don't think he's even a coordinator. I saw a few weeks
ago that he's expected to become the D coordinator this year.
I think he's expected to become the head coach the way it's sounding.
Yeah, that's why Belichick traded the top 10 for him. He knew this.
Let's see. Mayo was drafted by the Patriots. Yeah, 10th overall. 10th overall.
I can't imagine anyone else that Bill Belichick
2008
for. So
that was the year that. So they picked him 10 the year after they lost in the Super Bowl to the Giants the first time after their perfect season. So they traded
his Eli Buster.
Yeah, they traded. They went from 31 to 10 to get him.
That's a steep price.
Yep. And now he's just Bill Belichick's special little boy. I don't really know how else to explain it because he's just an assistant coach, but he's like has a say in who they hire. And they paid him like I think he's like this.
He's got to be paid as much as a coordinator. Like
no, I think they reworked his contract, and I'm pretty sure Schefter said he's the 3rd highest paid coach in the NFL that's not a head coach.
Yeah.
So the 3rd, offense coordinators, everything in the league, like he's 3rd highest paid as a special assistant to Bill Belichick. What a guy!
It's all just titles.
It's everybody talks about Bill Belichick loving like Danny Amendola and Julian Edelman and all these guys. Like nobody talks about his love for Gerard Mayo, which is strong.
That's his true love. Like, yeah. That's the only guy that's lasted this long.
Did he play lacrosse? Like if he played lacrosse, he might be getting all of Bill's inheritance, and Steve's just gonna be over there like licking air.
Just picture Steve Belichick, and if you don't know what he looks like, Google him, and then think about that. Is that just
just licking air? Well, Gerard Mayo takes all of Billy's assets.
I see it. I see it happening.
All right, enough with. We'll talk plenty of Bears and Cowboys in the offseason, obviously, but it's championship weekend. We have a rematch from last year. We have a returning team from last year and an emerging Philadelphia Eagles team. But we'll start out with the NFC game, NFC Championship. We have the San Francisco 49ers led by Brock the Cock Purdy going against the flock Philadelphia Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. -2.5 in this game. Total of 46. I don't know what to do here. I guess you got to take San Francisco. Like, I think San Francisco's better at every position except quarterback. Maybe not wide receiver. I don't know. Because then you have, like, is Debo a wide receiver? Is he not a wide receiver? Because Debo and Brandon Ayuk, I think, is slightly better than A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. But maybe not. Kittle's definitely better than Goddard.
Yeah.
San Francisco, I would take San Francisco line over Philly's O line. Although Jason Kelce,
so you take Trent Williams over Philly's O line.
I'll take Trent Williams over Travis Kelce and the right tackle for Philly.
Mailata's pretty damn good too.
He's got 6 toes.
That's how I got his nickname. Good old 6 toe.
Is that what they call him?
That's what I'd call him.
Have you seen his feet?
No.
He's got 6 toes.
Well, it sounds like a great nickname then.
The 6-toe Mailata. Yeah, I mean, Trent Williams might be the best just athlete in professional sports across all sports. Hockey, basketball, football.
He's one of the only football players or offensive linemen I've ever seen that just seems to elevate the entire O-line a ridiculous amount. Like, San Fran's O-line is nothing special outside Trent Williams. But they're really, really good.
Everybody
there.
Like, every coach that's ever coached him has said, like, yeah, in the NFL, you're used to seeing freak athletes. And then when Trent Williams steps onto the field, it's like everybody stops and just watches in amazement, like, how special he is. And then they say, like, on the basketball court, like, if he would have went that route, he could have been, like, as dominant as, like, young Shaq, basically.
Yeah.
And he runs like a 4.5. And he boxes in the offseason, like, recreationally. And they're like, yeah, he could probably be heavyweight champion in the world if he would have, like, focused on boxing 10 years ago. Like, and he's, 35? They're like, if he would have just started, like, boxing in his mid-20s, he could have been world champion. Like, that's how good he is. Like, not even, like, from a young age, just, like, mid-20s, if he was like, oh, I'm going full in on boxing, like, be a world champion. Like,
he's ridiculous.
Everything he does. Then you have Christian McCaffrey, who's best running back in the NFL, probably. I don't know. Who else would you put in that conversation right now?
I mean, Saquon entered the conversation again this year, but I'd still take CMC.
Yeah, I would take CMC. I mean, pure running back. Like, I don't know if anybody does everything better than Saquon or better than Christian McCaffrey does everything. And I think Christian McCaffrey might still be faster than Saquon on top of all that.
Yeah, maybe.
Hold it down for the white guys. Yeah, so but Brock Purdy is not good. He wasn't good the first week of the playoffs. He wasn't good against the Cowboys. And I think the Cowboys defense is just a little bit better than Philly's defense, but it's pretty close, I think.
Yeah.
But Cowboys also didn't take advantage of opportunities that hit them literally in the chest. So you would think like, at what point can you not get away with it anymore? Because he's been getting away with it. He got away with it against Seattle. He got away with it against Dallas.
Do you know how many
at
road
some
games
point-
he's played in his NFL career?
Road games?
Hmm.
He hasn't
Two.
played a playoff road game.
Only two road games, and in both of them, the offense did not perform as well as they have been at
Yeah.
home.
Yeah. But how much does the offense have to do when, Fred Warner, obviously, Fred Warner covered CeeDee Lamb one-on-one on like 6 different occasions in the Cowboys game.
Warner's
CeeDee couldn't separate
stupid.
from him.
He's stupid. Like
that-
watching him play is just mind-boggling.
Like, regardless of how you feel about the Cowboys, like, I would say CeeDee Lamb is like unequivocally a top 15 wide receiver. I don't think that's even, probably higher up, but I'm not trying to like start a debate on wide receivers, but I think he's pretty easily top 15 wide receiver. And Fred Warner covered him one-on-one multiple occasions, and CeeDee couldn't get open.
Yep.
Like that shouldn't be allowed.
Nope. It really shouldn't. Yeah, it's.
And is
this game's
Jalen Hurts
it's a
good?
tough read, man.
Like the Giants.
I think he's better than Brock Purdy. I'll go that far.
Well, early to midseason, Jalen Hurts is fine, but I don't know how healthy he is because the Giants. I said last week going into that game they were playing their best football. That was probably the worst game the Giants have played all year. So I don't know what to expect because Jalen Hurts did not look good against the Giants week 18. He looked really good this week.
I mean,
But how
in
good is
week
he gonna look with
18, they did get
Bosa?
out to like a 16-0 lead or 17-0
Jalen
lead
Hurts
before
didn't
they
have a lot
let
to do
off
with
the
that.
gas.
Miles Sanders was torching him.
Yeah, that's true. But also,
Jalen
how
Hurts
much were
didn't
they
look
running
good.
them? Like, they were probably taking it super easy on them.
Philly fans online were terrified that Jalen Hurts wasn't healthy after that game. The team dominated, but
Yeah.
even Philly fans were worried about Jalen Hurts. Then after this game, every Philly scumbag was like, "Go Birds!"
I watched the first half of the Philly New York game. I didn't catch it live, but I went back and watched the first half. I thought he looked just fine.
In the game this past weekend.
Yeah,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, no, he looked great.
like
This
he was hitting deep balls on the spot.
I'm talking week 18.
Okay.
He didn't look good, but he did look good this past weekend.
Yeah.
But he also had no pressure and guys running wide open.
Yeah.
That was my argument. It's like, does he really look good, or was it just easy?
Yeah,
Was my-
it's
was
a
my
fair
argument.
argument. I said going into last week, I didn't think that
His last 2 games have
Giants
been.
had the talent to keep up with the Eagles, and they didn't on either side of the football.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
his last 2 games played were against the Giants and
Yeah.
the Giants. One of the Giants games he didn't look good in. The other one he did look good in. But in one of the games, the Giants played really well. The other game, the Giants played terribly. So it's like, where does he
At
really
this
stand?
point, I'm willing to toss it up to week 18 shenanigans.
Yeah.
Like they weren't showing their cards because they knew there was a good chance they'd be playing the Giants. And
But the Philly played starters. Giants played backups in that game.
yeah, but why would Philly show their cards though? Why would they play the best game plan to win that game
That's
when
true.
they're going to
but
have to do it again in 2 weeks? Very possible.
why even play anybody in that game?
Yeah, that doesn't
but-
make sense to me. That's just a Nick Sirianni question right there.
Also, this Nick Sirianni thing, he is he like the biggest attention whore as far as NFL coaches goes? Like, this guy is,
He was loving that little red dot on the sideline.
yeah, and you're really good, but you haven't had to really beat anybody at all.
30-second strength of schedule.
And you're in the NFC Championship for beating a bad Giants team and now you're having to play San Francisco. But I mean, Kyle Shanahan's also a notorious choke artist. So what are we doing here? I mean, we're going back and forth. Like, I don't know.
Dude, so I got a lot of thoughts on this, and I don't know if they lead me to an answer, but I have a lot of thoughts. Like, so the Eagles defense, right? We look at them, number 1 pass defense in the NFL, number 21 run defense. That makes me like start to question it a little because like we all know the 49ers can run the football.
With and without Jordan Davis, those numbers change significantly.
Exactly. So that's where I start to hesitate a little bit on trusting that too much. And then I start thinking about, well, who runs this Philly defense? And it's Jonathan Gannon, or not Jonathan Gannon. Is it Jonathan? Someone Gannon. Their defense coordinator's
Rich.
Last name is not okay. Rich was who I thought I was mistaken for. Jonathan Gannon calls the defense, and you know who his number 1 assistant is? Vic Fangio.
Vic Fangio's on that team?
Jonathan Gannon runs Fangio's defense, and Fangio is a special assistant to him. So this is a Fangio defense. We know Fangio defense.
Why is Fangio not the defensive coordinator?
Because the Broncos are still paying him to be head coach unless he becomes a coordinator somewhere.
Oh, so that's why he's just hanging out until Sean Payton gets a job?
Yep. Fangio defenses have notoriously killed rookie quarterbacks. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it's a piece of information that I'm using here to try to find an answer, right? Okay. And so I'm betting that Shanahan wants to keep the ball on the ground a lot. It's just whether they're able to. And with Jordan Davis back and Linval Joseph adds that Eagles defense, their run defense has been stout since then.
Yeah, but
so it puts me in quite
what happens
the
when? But you also have Elijah Mitchell finally healthy again. It looks like, and then Devo's healthy for like the first time since week 12 probably. And he didn't do much in the Cowboys game, but the Cowboys run defense was so stout in that game. But then you also have Christian McCaffrey. And then you still have a fullback threat up the middle. And Brandon Ayuk will run the ball too. And then Greg Kittle's probably the best blocking tight end in the league. But he's also one of the biggest, I don't know. It's like if there's such a threat running the ball, Brock Purdy doesn't have to be good to throw like a 3-yard slant to Kittle or Ayuk or Devo or Elijah Mitchell or Christian McCaffrey or Trent Williams on an extra heavy set. And then Trent Williams all of a sudden an eligible receiver and goes 65 yards for a touchdown, balling over everybody. It's like they just get so many dudes.
So here's the thing that I was kind of thinking about with this. Like, Fangio's defense is very stop the pass heavy, right? This whole scheme is very, we're confusing you with our coverages. We're dropping guys all over, and our hogs up front need to handle the run. Shanahan is special when it comes to busting, designing up explosive runs to take advantage of stuff like that. So I wouldn't be shocked if there's a few explosive runs in this game, but at the end of the day, I do think they're going to need to win this game throwing. And that's where I'm leaning Philly right now. I think that is going to be a brutal environment for the young quarterback to go win in.
Philly corners, they traded for Chauncey Gardner for nothing. I don't know why the Saints made that trade. Then they got a free who's that guy they signed?
James Bradbury, their best quarterback, James Bradbury, who got robbed of a Pro Bowl, and his teammate Darius Slay is going, who's not as good as him. It's infuriating.
Yeah. Bradbury was good with the Giants, and then they were just like, we don't want you anymore.
He had a down year because the entire defense around him sucked.
But they never paid him, did they?
He was paid to go there. He was originally from Carolina. They paid him a pretty penny to go to New York. No, they paid him quite a bit to go to New York, and they just assumed he was washed after last year because he was playing in a defense.
I wanted the Cowboys to sign him.
Yeah, I mean, he was a good pickup.
I was very upset when the Eagles signed him, but Yeah, Bradbury's really good. Gardner's really good, and then Slay. I guess he's big play.
Slay's
Slay.
good.
He's all
He's
right.
good.
I mean, he's all right.
I always think he's overrated, but he's good. Like, I don't think that I have any question about that.
I mean, he's not as good as Sauce
Whatever.
Gardner.
No, not many are. So ultimately, like the way that
So what
I'm
are we doing
reading
here?
this game, if Brock Purdy is going into Philly and winning the conference championship game, just give him
That's
give
a
him his
win.
gold jacket already. I'm taking Philly in this game. Philly minus 2.5.
I'm taking San Fran 2.5 points with that running game. Too many dudes. I don't think Brock Purdy's got to do too much here. Give me San Fran plus 2.5.
So if this number was at 3, I'd probably take San Fran. But
Yeah,
it's not. We're dealt the numbers that we have for this show. Right now, that number's more favorable to Philly, in my opinion. But in a few days, it could be more favorable the other way. I might bet the opposite end at that point. Who knows?
I think San Fran as a team, not including Brock Purdy, but just as a team, is more battle tested. I give the edge in this game to Shanahan, even though he does notoriously choke in big games. But I think there's a lot of dudes on this team that can't be stopped whenever Shanahan's in his bag. And he definitely was not in his bag in the Cowboys game. And I can't expect him to have two weeks in a row with a lousy game plan because, I mean, they played terrible against the Cowboys, objectively.
Yeah.
And everything went their way. And it still took Cowboys mistakes to win. So
that's my other thought here.
I don't think Shanahan goes back-to-back weeks with lousy performance by people not named Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I mean that's very fair. Ultimately my stance on this game is I think the game is going to end up in Brock Purdy's hands, and I'm taking Vic Fangio over Kyle Shanahan in that moment.
But I mean, so what do you think Brock Purdy's gonna have to push the ball down? You think he's been in a situation to push the ball downfield?
Yeah,
because in that case, but at the same time, it's like a short pass to Ayuk with a little bit of open field in front of him, he can break it. Like anybody on this team, if you can just get a little open field in front of them, it doesn't have to be a big play to get a big play.
He still needs to execute it, though, and he was not executing well against the Cowboys defense, which was the first good defense he's faced all year.
Yeah, but, I mean, that Cowboys interior defensive line was really getting to him, and as good as Jordan Davis is against the run, he gets gassed, and if we're talking about a late-game scenario, you're talking about Jordan Davis getting interior pressure, like, I don't know if that's going to happen.
I'm really not worried about that. Philly's D-line runs 8 guys deep. They rotate those guys like a mother. I mean, you're going to have Ndamukong Suh in there for some snaps. Like,
yeah, I think the pressure's got to come from the middle. I mean, they might be able to get a little bit of an edge rush on them, but I think the pressure's got to come from the middle.
Cox, you got
old though.
Fletcher Cox is still really, really good. Fletcher Cox, the kid they took out of La Tech 2 years ago, Milton something.
Yeah,
his last name. Their rotation is as deep as it gets in the NFL. Like, so I don't worry about them getting
these two teams outside of quarterback are the 2 best rosters in the NFL. I think that's not even close.
Easily. I think it's obvious.
I mean, I don't know who has. I would probably give a slight edge. I would give roster composition outside of quarterback to San Fran, but total team, including quarterback, I think it goes to Philly.
See, I think I would go roster talent Philly, but the coaching difference makes San Fran better.
I think
overall team.
I think DeMeco Ryans and Shanahan are much better than.
Yeah.
I mean, DeMeco Ryans is he's going to be a head coach next year, pretty easily.
I don't think like San Fran's D line talent. Like Bosa is on another level, but aside from that, I don't think their depth their talent and depth come close to what Philly has outside of Bosa.
D-line maybe goes to Philly, but everything else on defense goes to San Fran, I think.
See, I don't know if their secondary is more talented either. I think they're better coached and better equipped.
Maybe. But Fred Warner,
I won't argue there. I got no argument.
He's just such a game changer. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, I guess San Fran just has more game, guys that can take over games rather than complete unit.
I'd agree with that.
There's guys that can make or there's multiple guys on the offense and defense that can completely take over a game for San Fran, where Philly just has a very good cohesive unit.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where the difference lies. But yeah, and I'm taking the under in this game.
I'm considering it. I mean, you almost got to, right?
Yeah, I mean, Dak played terrible, but I mean, Dallas could never really get anything going, and that's one of those things where is it Kellen Moore, is it this, is it that? But 49ers defense shut up. 49ers defense looked good. Like I said, I mean, Cowboys had opportunities, but at the end of the day, 49ers stifled most attempts to get there. So, I mean, I like under 46 here. I think Miles Sanders is going to have to get going in this game for Philly to have a chance. I think they can get to Jalen Hurts early and often, and with that MC sprain or whatever he has in his shoulder, I think if they can maybe get a hit on him early and maybe get that in the back of his mind, they can slow down that Philly offense. So I like the under there, 46. But
you talked me into it.
I hate both.
I was already leaning it, and now I'm in under 46. Make that a best bet.
Hell yeah. I hate both these teams. I hate San Francisco. I hate Philly. So I'm just hoping whoever wins this game loses the Super Bowl and loses to the Super Bowl. And this is slowly turning into the best rivalry in NFL right now?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Burrow, Mahomes, two teams that this Burrow team kind of looks like early Mahomes years where he's got guys everywhere, but then you look how good he is, and it's like he has a lot of guys, but I think he would still be really good without a lot of guys. I mean, you look at the early Mahomes years, and it's like, oh, Kelsey, Hill, they Honey Badger on defense, good offensive line, and everything gets reworked, and then all of a sudden the offensive line isn't as good, but they're still good. All of a sudden the wide receiver core isn't as good, but they're still good. They lose pieces, gain pieces, but the fact remains that this is the 5th straight home AFC championship for the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm perplexed. If this was
this line,
if Mahomes had 2 ankles, I'd be all over KC.
Yeah, well, so the thing about Mahomes having 2 healthy ankles is that it's completely unfair to the rest of the NFL. So now we're on an even playing field. He's only got 1 ankle now, and from all accounts,
a team that's beaten him 3 times in the last 2 years.
Yep, and that's the only team they've had leads against that they lose against. But, yeah, I mean, so it's a high ankle sprain and no ligament or cartilage damage supposedly.
High ankle. I mean, that's basically a partially broken.
Yeah. You break off the tip of your fibia. I mean, it hurts really, really badly.
You had one, didn't you? Back in high school?
Yeah, it hurts really badly, but if you can gut through it, you can't make it worse.
Yeah.
So it just breaks off basically the tip of the bone to where it just heals, but playing on it isn't going to make it worse. You don't put any future in risk. The only risk you put at yourself is putting more strain on your other leg, and then that's how you can tear an ACL in the opposite leg, pulling it, popping Achilles in the opposite leg because you're taking pressure off one leg and putting on the other. That's where you raise your risk of injury is actually hurting your other leg. But you're not going to do any more damage to the leg that's hurt with a high ankle sprain. So he's going to play.
You know where this line opened at yesterday?
I do not.
The first I saw it was Kansas City -1.
Okay, so it's 1.5 right now.
Okay,
I'm looking live. It's 1.5 since
it came back down a little.
Since he's 1.5, and I guess there might have been. I'm assuming there might have been rumors that he wasn't going to play Mahomes.
Wait, is Cincy 1.5 dog or favorite?
Since he's 1.5 favorite right now.
Okay.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm saying Casey opened up as a favorite, you're saying?
Yeah.
So I think there might have been speculation that he wasn't going to play. The line moved to 2.5. Now it's looking like they're pretty sure he's going to play. I think this is probably going to close around a pick 'em, if I were to guess.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already seen it move 3 points in 48 hours. I think it's going to close at a pick 'em. And I don't know who I like in this game. Like, I think it's time to just say, like, these are the two best quarterbacks in football.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe Burrow gets highly disrespected, and this is another pendulum moment. Like, everybody's talking about, like, I don't think Joe Burrow is better than Mahomes, but I think these are the two best quarterbacks in football. And I don't think it's relatively close right now.
Yeah, I'm with you there. These guys are the top of the line after Justin Fields.
Yeah, if Justin Fields is like up here, then you have like Mahomes, Burrow, like neck and neck, about 4 notches behind Justin Fields, and then you have like the rest of your like Josh Allen's, Justin Herbert's, Jalen Hurts,
Danny Dimes,
Tom Brady, Danny Dimes. And then you have step, Dak Prescott, according to Cowboys fans right this moment. If you would have asked them last week, if you would have asked Cowboys fans last week, they would have been up in that Justin Fields conversation, but currently not there.
So the interesting thing I noticed on this bunch of cash, 74% of the cash is coming in on Cincy so far. Almost 70% of the cash also coming in on the under. There's some people out there who don't think Mahomes is going to be right. Like that like probably plays, but just do not think he's going to be the same dude because of the injury.
So one thing I want to talk about here is we kind of talked about it last year, but then I felt like the man still get disrespected in the offseason, still get disrespected earlier in this season. And we either got to get to a point where you have to respect one of the two, and I think Joe Burrow is getting his respect. But Zach Taylor, at what point are we going to respect this man? Back-to-back AFC championships.
I have some apologies to make.
Back-to-back AFC championships. Made the Super Bowl last year. Started out this season 1-3. Like, when are we going to respect this man?
I do now. Last week did it for me. I mean, he went into Buffalo and put on a master's class on.
Also, let me say something. I know he's got the UCL, but Josh Allen has lived, like, I love Josh Allen. Don't get me wrong. This isn't me hating on Josh Allen, but I have never seen somebody get more of a universal pop of being elite tier, best quarterback in the league conversation for a losing game in a divisional round of the playoffs than Josh Allen got from the overtime loss against the Chiefs. I mean, the past 2 years, I mean, that's been all it's talked about. Oh, he would have went to the Super Bowl that year. It's like, what do you have?
Yeah, I don't know. He would have beaten Burrow. Now
Yeah,
it's like we just saw it happen, and like that was not a great game for him. I mean,
but
I think
he does
Josh
have the
Allen's.
injury.
Yeah,
But
I give a lot of leeway for that injury, and I think a lot of people forgot that he was even dealing with that injury.
Yeah, but so I texted you this Sunday, and it's like his play on the field is a lot closer to Dak Prescott, but the media likes to talk about him being in the same conversation as Burrow and Mahomes. So I kind of asked the question: would you rather have actual like what Dak Prescott is, which is an average top 12 to 14 quarterback, and everybody hate him and say he's terrible, or have a guy like Joe Burrow, or not Joe Burrow, a guy like Josh Allen this year, who is much closer to Dak Prescott, but everybody in the media loves him and says he's elite and like bows down to him and crowns him and anoints him. Like, does it hurt worse getting told that you have a great quarterback that isn't? Or does it hurt worse having an above average quarterback that gets buried every week that you have no faith in?
I think it hurts worse having the above average quarterback that nobody has faith in, because with Josh Allen, I have they're giving me reasons to believe he's better than this.
What has Josh Allen done in the playoffs that Dak hasn't done in the playoffs?
He had one of the best 2-game stretches in the playoffs last year of any quarterback ever.
I mean, Dak Prescott threw 5 touchdowns on 360 yards last week for a perfect passer rating.
It's fine. Still, I mean, I don't have Josh Allen's stats from last year in front of me in those 2 games, but he was incredible.
Who did he play in the first game?
And the 2 seasons.
Who did Josh Allen play in the first game?
I don't remember. Like I said, I don't have it in front of me. But
they went to the AFC Championship 2 years ago and lost.
Regardless,
he made a championship game. I'll give him that.
His regular season stats for the 2 years prior to this one were outstanding, which makes me say it's more the injury than anything.
Maybe. But I mean, I'm not saying that he is Dak Prescott. I'm just saying that back half of the season, obviously he injured his UCL. It doesn't really get talked about, but he was a lot closer to a guy like Dak or Kirk Cousins. Like, throw me being a Cowboys fan out the window. He was a lot closer to Kirk Cousins than he was Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes.
I agree, he was. But even from taking Josh Allen out of it, and still to the initial question, I'd rather have the guy everyone loves because it gives me reason to believe he is that guy. You know?
Yeah. Well, the
ignorance is bliss. So, give me hope.
So Tony
give
Romo.
Me death. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, I guess he had a lot of hate too, but the people that loved him absolutely loved him. I feel like there's like 6 people on Twitter just like taking all the bullets for Dak, and I just stay right in the middle. Like, whenever he's bad, I take bullets that I'm like, oh, he's good, and then whenever he's good, I'm like, oh, he's not that good. And then I take bullets for that. So I just say taking bullets for Dak. Like, I don't know why nobody can just accept the fact that he's just a fine quarterback. He's Jared Goff. He's a fine quarterback. We had this conversation 17 times this year. But anyway, a little bit of a tangent there. These are the 2 best quarterbacks in football.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, imagine. So it was 4 years ago. The Washington Football Commanders are playing in a meaningless game against Miami, down 17-0 in the third quarter. Come back to win that game. That win gave them Chase Young, number 2 overall. How much does that hurt? A meaningless 17-point third quarter comeback to win Chase Young.
Oof. That's not good for them.
No, I mean I don't know if you could have ruined Joe Burrow because I don't know of a worst possible starting situation other than maybe the Bears these past 2 years. But I think Burrow would have taken the Bears to the Super Bowl.
Burrow's that dude.
Like,
it's proven.
He just, and he's an Ohio guy on top of all that. Like Cincinnati refused to build an indoor practice facility for 30 years. Like, everybody talked about it. Everybody's like, this is stupid. Like, why are we the only team in the NFL that doesn't have an indoor practice facility? We're basically in Canada. Like, what the hell is going on? And then Joey B gets there, and he's got the cool little curl going down his forehead and just balling out. And he's like, hey, coach, it'd be real cool if we had an indoor practice facility. They make the Super Bowl. And guess what? They got an indoor practice facility now. I don't know how good it is, but it's there.
Hey, got it done.
And then you have Patrick Mahomes on the other side, who's gonna be a billionaire. I don't think there's any a real question about that. Might be a billionaire before his playing career is over, and he'll be the second athlete ever to be an active athlete billionaire after Tiger Woods did it. I think LeBron's getting pretty close. LeBron might get there by the time he retires, but I don't see a scenario where Patrick Mahomes is not a billionaire by the time he retires. You might own the Chiefs by the time he retires.
Probably.
But I'm so excited for this game.
Can I dive into the matchup a little bit on it?
Yeah.
So, like we said, last 3 times these teams have faced off, Bengals have won, right? And a big part of why they've had success is the way they've mugged up the front with the linebackers and varied that up between dropping 8 and sending pressure. And last time they played earlier this year, week 13, they hit Mahomes 6 times. Mahomes was really making stuff happen in the pocket. His time to throw was 3.18, which is a little longer than you want to see, which makes me think he was probably scrambling around, playing some backyard stuff. And I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do that in this game. I think the ball is going to be out faster. I think and I'm not sure how it's going to affect stuff. I can see a world where that actually plays better for them because that clearly wasn't working for them.
Yeah.
It's just a question of how many hits he's taken, how quick it's getting in on him. And when they were bringing pressure on those mugged up fronts, the linebackers were giving him hell.
Two things that weren't really a factor that are a factor now, or 2 players, I should say, is Isaiah Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah.
Completely.
I mean, that absolutely.
Completely have changed their entire game since it was basically the week after the Cincy game where Pacheco got going and Jerick McKinnon has become a monster, just a touchdown machine since then. And those 2 things have also opened up Kelsey, who's already arguably the greatest tight end ever, who's always open. And then Kadarius Toney also, who really hasn't been healthy, but now he's finally healthy. And he's going to have 7 weeks of practice now in that system, and who's just a playmaker anytime he touches the ball. And then you still have Juju and Marquez Valdes-Scantling and Sky Moore and everybody else. I think that Mahomes having to get the ball out quick, fast, in a hurry with some of these weapons that have come on late in the season, I think it's going to be an absolute game changer for him. And Kansas City at home as an underdog with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. I mean, how do you not take Kansas City? I mean, it's square. It's probably the squarest play I've ever seen. But how do you not take Kansas City at home?
I'm leaning Cincy, but I'm not touching the spread on it. I mean, so going back into that more, week 13 game, and Burrow's O-line was much more intact for that game than it is now. But
they looked good last week, though.
They looked just fine last week. He only got hit once in that game. And Grant, Chris Jones doesn't play in Buffalo. So and playoff Frank Clark is a whole nother animal.
Remember last year when he got sacked 7 times against Tennessee? 9 times against Tennessee?
Yeah. And still won.
Still won.
So that's where I'm sitting here looking at it like, man, he wasn't getting hit. Well, if he starts getting hit, and I think about last year, it's like it didn't matter, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he was getting the ball out quick, 2.9 seconds time to throw in their last matchup. But where I'm so thinking it through, like I said earlier, the cash was coming in on Cincy, cash is coming in on the under. It's pointing to Mahomes, like there being some information somewhere that Mahomes is not quite right.
I'm sure his ankle is like another thing about a high ankle sprain, it swells up so freaking big. So that could also because for instance with mine, granted, it was high school, I didn't have the same treatment as a multi-billion-dollar franchise has, so I'm sure they have different ways to get rid of the swelling. But I couldn't even put on a shoe for 2 weeks. I came back. Yeah. I came back 4 weeks in high school, which you can basically say, oh, you can be back in a week in NFL in that instance, with treatment and everything. But I couldn't even put shoes on 3 of those 4 weeks. That was the main reason. Because I could walk on it. It hurt really bad, but I could walk on it, but no, I couldn't put on a shoe. My ankle is so big. So it's I'm sure somebody has seen it.
It's gonna have to have an impact.
I'm sure somebody's seen it and leaked information. There ain't no way this dude's playing. I mean, this thing's huge.
Yeah. But so at that point, I'm sitting here saying, so if Mahomes is going to be able to run around like he normally does, that's going to impact their explosive playability, right? Even if he's having to take short throws and doing it well, their time of possession is going to go up. They're going to burn more clock. So that combined with the under getting the cash, Cincy getting the cash, I'm sitting here looking at their last few games against Cincy, and they scored 24 in each of those games. Do I think this ankle is good enough to get another point off that number? Because the team total for Kansas City is 23. I think they can win this game, but I think that defense is going to have to step up big time, and it's going to be lower scoring.
Yeah, but
I'm taking the KC under 23.
Okay. Counterpoint is if they're because most of those points that they scored in the last couple of games have came in the first half, right? Because Cincy's second half defense has been incredible. So a lot of those points. So they slow it down. They wear them out. Maybe they don't score as much in the first half, but I think they could find opportunities in the second half, to which makes me think I think they can go over that 23 because
I love how you try to talk me out of every under I've ever made.
No, I'm just saying. Because you look at those games last year in the AFC Championship, the Chiefs didn't score in the second half.
Yeah, they didn't.
So they had 24 in the first. So it's if they only scored 10 in the first half here, but let's say they have a 7-minute drive for a touchdown, then a 5-minute drive for a field goal, then a 4-minute drive and they miss, and then it's a minute 20 until halftime, and they try to get something done. They can't. Well, they've had the ball for nearly an entire quarter going into halftime. Open up the second half. Say they go 7 minutes for a field goal, and then they get the ball back again in the fourth quarter. They have 17 points, and then one big play after they've had almost a quarter and a half of football on offense. One big play, and then all of a sudden they have 24. And then it's 24-27. Chiefs get the ball with 2:30 left, and Patty Mahomes on one ankle has got to go out there and I don't know,
you could throw out a scenario for any over or under.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying,
they scored
in the past
27 against Jacksonville last week, and I think Cincy is a superior defense to Jacksonville.
But they didn't have to score more than that.
Pat.
That's the thing.
They won't have to in this game.
Yeah, maybe they won't, but I'm just saying, all their points in the last few Cincy games have came early in the game, which I don't think they'll get those points early in the game, but they may maybe longer drives and wear them down more because like they were scoring quick, fast, and hurry before.
It's a fair point.
It's
a fair point. They might.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm not saying it'll happen, but it's a completely different style of offense than what Cincy's faced the last 3 times they played. They have
no, you're right, and that's to the point that I said like right when we started. It's like I don't know if it's going to be a good or bad thing for KC. It could end up working in their favor that they're going to have to change up their offense more, and it's like scouted by Cincy. Cincy probably doesn't know what's coming as well as they typically would.
I will say, for my own personal mental health, please God, I'll Vibes Queen, whoever you pray to, let the winner of this game win the Super Bowl. I'll shave my beard, I'll shave my eyebrows, I'll do whatever. Like whoever the higher power is, the odds makers, NFL rigged, whoever's rigging these games, like just call me and tell me what I have to do to get like the AFC champion to be the Super Bowl champion. Like I'll do it. Because I don't know if I could live an entire year of an Eagles or 49ers Super Bowl champion.
I actually feel really good about whoever wins this game winning it all.
Well, that makes me feel better.
And also one final note here, two final notes, I guess. Cincy has not allowed over 23 points since playing Kansas City in Week 13. When they gave up 24.
Defense is really good.
They've only given up 24 or more 4 times all season.
Yeah. Trey Hendrickson doesn't get near the amount of respect that man deserves.
And I had one other thought on it, but final thought, I promise. Strength of schedule. Strength of schedule is usually a pretty good indicator, I've noticed, during conference championships and Super Bowls of who comes out on top, who the tougher team is.
You took Philly last game.
And everywhere. Okay, but that was 32nd schedule versus 31st. That's not different. Those are equal.
Still, one of them is last place, one of them is not last place.
Yeah, it's marginal. But if it's less than a 10 rank difference, it's marginal. This one is, Cincy has the 4th most difficult schedule according to DVOA. Kansas City has played the 29th.
So I don't understand that. Schedule. So are we just saying like the Raiders were just that bad? Because the Raiders played people tough. And I'm guessing the Raiders are the difference in Denver. This. Denver's defense is really good, yeah. Like,
yeah, but their offense is crap.
Yeah, but okay.
And
the
you
Browns
gotta think about Cincy's
the Browns
division.
Weren't good. The Steelers weren't good. Baltimore was the Chargers. Steelers were the Raiders. And
generally, the fact of the matter is with strength of schedule, it's pretty marginal. Like when you really do look at like the difference in games, it's fairly marginal, but it's like 1 or 2 games are the big difference. But all I know is it's been a pretty good strategy for me to find the team who plays harder.
I love
at least in these games.
I love the Bengals here. Well, the Bengals did have to play the NFC Beast with monsters like the New York Giants and Washington football team. They had to play a Cooper Rush Cowboys team that they got absolutely demolished by. So, yeah, Cooper Rush, that boy, dude. You ask any Cowboys fan in the world, he should be the franchise quarterback. So,
man, what is it you say all the time? It's all about who gets hot when. The Bengals are on fire right now.
Yeah, this is.
I'm not betting Bengals either.
This is a personal crossroads for me because, like, these are my 2 favorite quarterbacks in the NFL. But I'm Mahomes before everybody. So I can't not cheer for Mahomes. But Joe Burrow.
I'm rooting for Mahomes, and I hope I lose my bet. But
Joe Burrow became.
I
think Joe Burrow might be my most favorite college quarterback of all time because his second season, his Heisman season, his second season at LSU. I bet big on LSU against Texas, and he barely squeezed it out. And I was like, I like this guy. I bet LSU again, and it's like
I think
they won.
You on both of
And then I bet LSU again, and then they won. And then I'm like, oh, this LSU team's different. By week 5, they were killing people. I kept betting LSU. Then all of a sudden, I'm still betting LSU. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, LSU was like, I think like 10-1 against the spread that year. Like, one of the greatest teams of all time, just in college football, and one of the greatest team, like one of the best betting seasons of all time, if you bet them every week. And my God, when they beat Oklahoma like 85-0 in the playoffs, and then going to beat Clemson 64-0, and then Joey B's like smoking cigars on the sidelines. Like, I've never been like more of like connected to an individual in my life. I'm like, you made me so much money. Like, I'm smoking cigars with you. Like, I made so much money that year on LSU that Joe Burrow will always have a special place in my heart.
Have you ever told your wife that? You've never felt more connected to an individual in your life than Joe Burrow?
Oh, she knows. She was there. I mean, she was there for all the bets. And then every time it's like, babe, we're going to get a steak dinner because I did it again. Joey B did it again.
So she feels the same.
She loves Joe Burrow. Yeah. But yeah, Joey B, man, special place in my heart. Might have to name my second son Joey B.
First name Joey B.
First name Joey B. Middle name Pat. Little Fat Pat. Joey B. Fat Pat May. Love to see it.
That's a guaranteed winner's name right there.
I get at least 5 Super Bowls out of that. Can't tell me otherwise. But I think that's going to do it. I am taking Kansas City, and I'm taking the over. I'm going against you there.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm taking Kansas City team total under 23. Philly minus 2.5 and under 46 in the San Fran Philly.
I got under 46. I got San Fran plus 2.5. And like I said, I have Kansas City plus 2.5 over 46.5. Lock it in. Winners. Wait. Are we doing?
I got 2 teasers here, and I hit both my 2-unit teasers last week, so I'm trying to throw these back into the universe. So San Francisco and Kansas City teased up 6.5, so that's San Francisco plus 8.5, Kansas City plus 8.5, and that's one teaser. And the other teaser I took was Kansas City spread, so Kansas City up to 8.5, and the under 52.5, 53.5.
Okay. Are we doing Propapalooza this year?
Yeah, we can. I need to do a lot of research on that.
Propapalooza, the greatest time of all year. Also, we gotta talk to. Oh, this could be after the pod. We need to talk to Robert. We need to do like an early pod with Robert about like projections and players that he likes, and then like do another pod with Robert like right before the draft. Get Robert on twice if we can. Yeah, I gotta pick his brain about this draft class. But that'll do it. Winners. Let's go. Championship weekend. Propapalooza coming soon. So we will see y'all then. And don't sleep on Will Levis. Best quarterback in college football. Greatest quarterback you've ever seen. Don't sleep on Will Levis.
Slurping up that mayo.
5 first-round picks. Nothing less.
Adios.